They say security is one of the few things you shouldn't cheap out on, but this new security from SwitchBot rewrites that rule. This is the SwitchBot Pan Tilt Camera, offering an HD 1080p camera that pans 360 degrees and offers 117 degrees vertically. So I'm showing you everything this camera has to offer, whether it's worth the $50 price point, and a comparison of their existing indoor camera lineup. So this camera, being much larger than its sibling indoor camera, packs a lot of specs into it, including a 1080p 2 megapixel aperture 2.0 camera, 8 infrared LEDs for night mode, a microphone for two-way audio, and their own SwitchBot app to control the whole thing. And rather than just stating those specs, let's dive into each one of them, starting with the camera quality. Featuring a 1080p 2 megapixel camera, you're getting decent footage that certainly isn't award-winning, especially when comparing to like the latest iPhones or the latest smartphones, but when you compare it to other security cameras, and specifically indoor cameras, it's not really that crazy. Using the app, you can control where the pan tilt camera is pointing and rotate it a full 360 degrees around to monitor the whole area, which as you can see is really impressive. But it can also swivel up and down to cover 114 degrees vertically. The really incredible thing about this camera specifically that I actually didn't know when I was first getting it was the ability to do motion detection, which displays as a notification on your phone, but also motion tracking. So enabling this in the app allows the camera to detect motion, and then as you move, it's able to follow. There are cases in my testing where I was too fast for it to keep up, or too close in proximity for it to recognize me as the object, but assuming this is in the corner of your room, it'll easily follow you as you move along. And the other really helpful component here is that you can actually set up 6 zones you want to cover. Think of this as preset directions both horizontally and vertically, so that with just a tap, you can jump to that exact point. And if you have a SwitchBot hub and motion sensor, you can build an automation that recognizes motion at that specific point and then calls the camera to that point to view. Now that's just one example of how the SwitchBot ecosystem all works together, which I thought was a really practical use case. Now, assuming you have this thing in a common space like a living room, you might have some comprehension of a smart camera being on and watching you all day. Now that's where this really intelligent feature called privacy mode comes into play. So it can be enabled through the app, and it lets the camera fold in not only to reveal the SwitchBot branding, but also to shut the camera off completely. I mean, look, you can even see here in the app when it's open, the camera shows as on, and then when you put it into privacy mode, it folds in, but it actually changes that icon to privacy mode as well, which is a really nice touch for just seeing it at a glance. Here's a side-by-side of the SwitchBot indoor camera versus the pan tilt camera, while also showing off the audio capacity of each one. This is a test of the SwitchBot Pan Tilt camera and the SwitchBot Indoor camera. This is a test of the SwitchBot Pan Tilt camera and the SwitchBot Indoor camera. This is a test of the built-in speakers on both cameras for two-way talk.
This is a test of the Pan Tilt camera microphone.
This is a test of the SwitchBot Indoor camera.
1080p is really good enough quality to sustain an indoor camera. As you can see, it's picking up everything really clear. And while 4K would be an incredible addition, I think that most people would probably be fine with this resolution in order to just keep that price at a low point. You might think by looking at these two that the pan tilt camera doesn't have an SD card slot, as there's nothing on the exterior that shows that, but they actually managed to tuck it into the camera itself, which you can see revealed as it rises. Kind of a genius design if you ask me. It's expandable up to 128 gigs, just like that indoor camera, but if you wanted to record and store your footage as well, SwitchBot offers cloud storage pricing options to ditch that SD card entirely. Now, I touched on the ability to use the whole SwitchBot ecosystem together if you have a bunch of their products. So in order to do that, you do need a SwitchBot hub. This essentially connects all of your SwitchBot products to your Wi-Fi network and then allows them to communicate with each other. Bonus, it also acts as an IR sensor remote, so you can control anything within a close range through the SwitchBot app, which I use for my TV every single day. So with the hub set up, I can set my motion sensor to notify the camera and then have it point to a determined location. Really helpful, by the way, to act sort of as an arming system when you're away from home. Another option is having this camera in your front entrance and then combining it with the SwitchBot contact sensor, so once your door is opened, it can automatically turn on and then point to the door. All in all, this is a really incredible device at an incredible price. Yes, you can get the very similar tech for an even lower cost with that SwitchBot indoor camera, but with a slightly higher price, you get that full pan tilt that can much more efficiently monitor your home. The camera does work as a standalone product through the SwitchBot app, but those integrations lead to a much more sophisticated monitoring system. especially if you have multiple points of entry in a room that you want to be able to capture. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this camera, and if you have any questions about anything that I left off in this review. As always, thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.